Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. I get asked this question all the time, and it's how do you build a brand that's going to be disruptive and break through sometimes a really crowded market? Now, just to give you some context, I've been in the branding space for over 22 years now, and there's been so much, like when I talk about disruption, there's been Canva, there's been AI, there's been all of these huge market disruptors that have happened over the last really 5 to 10 years. And for this industry, it's been revolutionary. We can use it as a tool or we can get left behind. And I think for a lot of brands and businesses, we're still relying on AI probably a little bit too much, and it's not really quite where it needs to be right now. And to be a really strong disruptive brand, you need to think differently and you need to think uniquely. And a lot of these generic tools like Canva and AI, they don't really grab that real unique attribute that most brands need to really break through and become successful. So I thought I'd put this presentation together today. It's about how to build a disruptive brand, and it's a bit of a clearer understanding of what branding is and then how it can support your business to increase revenue and grow and scale. So I've been in this space for, as I said, 22 years. I'm a brand strategy director here at Embark agency, and our purpose is to create positive transformation in the world of brands at a time. And that's been our purpose for the last 22 years. And look, it's beyond making money, right? It's something that gets me out of bed in the morning and makes me want to create something special. And the purpose is a really strong part of building that disruptive brand. Our values, which is your core DNA of your business and how you show up, how your team shows up in market with their customers, with each other. And they are really powerful to have as the kind of your source of truth and that guiding light for your business. For us, we're open, fearless, forward and fearless, building relationships, and rooted in integrity. They're our 4 values. We go a lot deeper on those, but I'm not going to go into that today to bore you. This is my team, and we've got quite a small team, but we're all very passionate and great people that just love to do great work for great people. Our reputation is our trademark, so it's built on trust, quality, and service. And most businesses don't last 5 years, never mind 22 years. So we've been doing this a while, and we love what we do, and it shows in the relationships we built and the reason we're still here. So today we're going to look at what is branding. Then we're going to ask that brand strategy question. Then we're going to look at the 4 core brand ideas, and probably not going to worry about questions today because we don't have time for that at the end. And this is really just a webinar. So this guy called Steve Forbes said this many moons ago: your brand is the single most important investment you can make in your business. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll understand why that is and what that means. A lot of people, especially in startup, they don't take their brand too seriously because of budgets and all sorts of things, but your brand is really important. It's what attracts your customers. So branding essentially is matchmaking your ideal customer to your business. And sometimes it's not about attracting more customers, but about attracting the right ones. So what you put out there and what you market and how you show up in the world is what you're going to attract. So it's really important that you're crafting that, because I think Jeff Bezos says your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So how are we controlling that narrative? What are we saying? And we can't make people think a certain way about a business, but we can influence them by our brand identity and what we say. So I often ask this question with businesses: what is the best way to increase the revenue in your business? And it's really through your customers. It's about charging more, it's about attracting more, and it's about that repeat purchase. So charging more is about that perceived value in the market and how you price yourself, how you position yourself. Attracting more is make sure you're talking to the right audience, so that conversion pathway is nice and clear. And repeat purchase, that's your brand experience that people are having when they're with you. You want them to keep coming back. So there are 2 main obstacles preventing you from growing your business. One's mediocrity, and that is of only ordinary or moderate quality, neither good nor bad, barely adequate. It is a brand that hasn't really been well thought out and just exists, but doesn't really have a strategy behind it, and you're not really talking to the right customers, and it's probably done with AI or Canva, and it's just not there. It's not where it needs to be. No one likes to deal with a mediocre company. No one does. No one wants to deal with okay. We want to deal with the best. The other one's obscurity. This is the marketing piece. We really want to make sure that our business is sustainable for the long term. We need to make sure that people understand that we exist. If we're not marketing, people don't know where we are, who we are, or that it's an integral part of growing your business. And word of mouth will only get you so far. To illustrate a really great brand message here, I use these coffee beans to illustrate what a brand can do for a business. And I always say, which one of these coffee beans would you choose? And most people go, the left or the right doesn't really matter. It's actually, as I've written down here, how can you make an informed decision when you're just looking at two products? Now, if we let's talk, I know that they've been ground and they're in coffee and that you can drink them, but now if I ask you which one of these coffees you would like more or less, you can instantly make a choice. And it's usually like a gut feeling that you have about the company. And it's built on past experiences, reputation. Maybe you've been exposed to the brand multiple times. Maybe a friend said something, or you've had a really bad coffee at either of these places, which is probably most likely. I always say that, no to either of these, but the fact that they're branded, I can make a decision because I know where the coffees are from. I know what kind of experience I'm going to have. Brands is more than just a logo. It's that whole kind of that experience that the customer has. These shirts, I use this one as an example for how brands can really create some perceived value to a product. We're not just buying a shirt, a white shirt, for example. I don't know where that was, but where was it made? What's it made from? What's the story behind the shirt? It's really hard for me to make a choice on a plain white shirt. And I could obviously go to somewhere like Kmart or somewhere to you can get a pack of 5 shirts for $30 or whatever. But I will always choose to go for a more expensive quality shirt. And the question is, are they more quality, or am I just buying the brand? It's a perceived quality. These shirts probably cost like $5 to make, maybe less. Now we add a brand to it. We immediately know the purpose behind the business. We want to be a part of that. It's more than just, I don't need another shirt. I need a shirt that maybe it's Patagonia. I want to actually think about how I'm sustainable as a human. Maybe it suits my lifestyle and my hobbies. Maybe the Nike shirt it's breathable. I won't sweat in it. So there's all these underlying values that these products will actually give the customer beyond the transaction. So I want you to think about your brand. What is the value you're bringing your customer beyond the product or service? Because there's value there. And if you're not communicating that value, it's really hard for customers to make a choice. Also, these shirts now sell for a hell of a lot more than that $5 that they probably purchased for. So Patagonia has built a brand, Nike's built a brand, and they are now worth what, $50, $60, $70 you'll pay for a shirt, and they cost so much less to make. So by adding your brand, that adds so much value to the product or service as well. So that brand, it's called brand equity, and it really does build the value of your business and your brand. So brands exist to make customer choice easier. The difference between success and failure in business ultimately comes down to one thing: customer choice. It's about being memorable, recognized, and about that perceived value. What value are we bringing the customer beyond the transaction? So there's a guy called Marty Neumeyer. He's the godfather of branding. He says there's 4 spectrums of choice. You can be like everyone down here, which is, on that lower end, or you can be like the golden standard, which is an only choice brand. He calls it only choice. Now, if we think about everyone, we are obscure. No one knows we exist, and we're mediocre. No one really wants to buy with us, or no one really wants to purchase with us. It's usually a commodity or transactional. So it's a race to the bottom. If you plant your flag as we are the cheapest in the market, say like JB Hi-Fi, for example, they are the bargain cheapest. We'll beat any deal. There can only really be one person at the bottom there that has that flag and can own that space. So everyone else has to work their way across this spectrum and see where they sit and their USP, unique value proposition, needs to be something different than we are the cheapest, because someone already owns that space and no one wants to be there. That's a race to the bottom. That's quantity over quality. Then it can be one of a few. And then the only choice brands, this is about being a purposeful and unique brand. It's about being really intentional about the kind of customers you want to work with. You can niche, the best brands that niche, restaurants. If you want if you want a pizza or pasta, you go to an Italian restaurant, they specialize in Italian food. And there was a study done in the Nordics. You can charge up to 69% more for an only choice brand. And that is a brand that strategically picked its audience and is tailoring its brands to them. Now, I use the analogy of if you've got a problem with your knee and you go to the doctors, you go, hey, I got a problem with my knee. A general practitioner will prescribe you some painkillers or give you some exercises maybe, or they might send you to a physio or a knee specialist. Now, what I want you to think about here is if I really want my knee fixed, I'm going to go to a knee specialist because all they do is knees. They know everything about knees. They will fix my knee. I have no doubt, but they're going to cost a lot more because they're a specialized service in that space. So I want you to think about with your brand, how can you become a specialist in a certain space? And when I use the word niche or niche in America, you can do that by a service that you're offering. So you're the only that offer this service. You could isolate a certain customer or industry is another one, or a product or service as well. So this industry, product or service, or a customer that you can niche into, or you can do all three and become really niche. And the more you niche, the more you become a specialized service for a certain group of people. And that's when they think of you as their only choice, because they're looking at all these other choices, but you're speaking to them because you specialize in this one thing. So it is being purposeful and unique. So how do you become an only choice brand or a disruptive brand? You've got to work on these three areas. First of all, we've got the transaction. This is where most people spend their time on like it's the product or service that we're offering. It's really great to get that nailed and make sure that you do have a product that people actually want. Obviously, that's the first part of a really great business or a service. The next one is the how. This is the experience. This is where a lot of businesses like Netflix, Airbnb, Uber, they've all worked on the experience. Like Airbnb is still offering accommodation, but they're doing it in a different way. So they're listening to the customers, and they're bringing even the people offering their homes or apartments. They're doing it in a different way. They're offering the same thing different way. Same with Netflix. They're offering TV and video or movies, but they're doing it in a different way. It's a really great space to think about how you can offer your product or service in a really different way. Can you do a subscription service? Can you do something like that no one else is doing? Really cool. And that's where most of the disruption happens in business. And then we've got the why, the meaning. This is your purpose. It's beyond making money. It's why you exist. It's your purpose, vision, mission, values. Like attracts like at the end of the day, and you want to attract customers that really understand that. And on the other side here is customers. Why do they want to buy this product or service? What is the value they're looking for over the transaction and over the experience? What is that value that you're going to bring? So brand strategy is your plan for how you want people to think and feel about you. A lot of people spend, myself included, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on business coaching, looking at your business operations, your business strategy, but your customer strategy or your brand strategy is the other side of that coin. And I don't think people spend enough on this area of the business, because this is the oxygen to your business. You want to make sure you're attracting the right kind of customers. So if the brand strategy kind of sits beneath all of the other items here, brand expression, marketing, sales, it sits beneath all of that. It underpins all of marketing, sales. The brand expression is every touch point. It's your website, your logo. And then marketing becomes easier because your brand's speaking to the right audience, and the sales becomes even easier because you're marketing to the right people. The sales is to the right people who understand your product and the value, and then you deliver and nurture, which is that customer experience. So if you can get the brand strategy, that makes how you express the brand a lot easier. And then the right audiences are going to match to that. And then sales just becomes a little bit easier as well. Your conversion should go up also. So I'm going to ask the brand strategy question. Why should they choose us? This is a really great question to ask yourselves and your team. What motivates your customers? What are their wants and needs? What is your brand promise? What is your unique brand offering? What are you doing that no one else is doing? Customers do not buy a product or service. They buy the value that it provides. It's usually emotional reasons, often to deeply held beliefs, values, and attitudes. So this is motivating. This is their motivating factors for choosing to work with you. It's about your purpose. It's about doing something for people no one else does. It's your brand offering and your unique brand experience. Who are they and why? Who are they? Why should they choose us? Who is your ideal customer? The biggest problem with most companies is they're trying to please everyone. Your ideal customer exists at the intersection of what they want and what you want and your unique ability to give it to them. I use the 80-20 rule a lot with customers. So if I had a look at my Xero file, this is mainly for service-based businesses, but if I had a look at my Xero file, there'd be a top 20% of my clients delivering 80% of my revenue. And then the rest of my revenue, the 20% of the revenue, is by everyone else. So I want you to think about who are those top 20% of your customers and how can you speak to them more clearly and grow that power base of customers, because you want more of them, more of those high quality customers who are easy to work with, who pay their bills on time, they're repeat purchasing, they're your customers. So how do we build that market instead of trying to please everyone? It's the biggest mistake I see. What are their other choices? Why should they choose us? What is your competition? What is your brand positioning? So where do you position yourself on the market? And what do your competition look? What are they saying? What is their unique value propositions? We want to make sure we are unique and we stand out. Think about where your greatest opportunity lies, given these three perspectives. What is the authenticity of business? How can your business show up differently than your other businesses and competition in the market? The market, how can you be different? This could be a change of color. I worked with a tree lopping service and everyone was green and we just changed to an orange, just to that little bit of differentiation. And then your customers, how can you niche down to a really great customer that you want to work with and want to grow? It all comes down to differentiation and distinctiveness. So differentiation is your competitive advantage and your distinctiveness is how you influence their choice. So the two most important factors behind successful brands, which deliver key competitive advantage and heavily influence customer choice, is positioning. So differentiation is how you position yourself in the market. I'll give you an example of how Coca-Cola, when they first came out with their glass-shaped bottle, I believe the brief to the bottle maker was, if you smash this bottle in the dark, I want to be able to reach down and still know it's a Coke bottle. So it's actually cacao bean that they created it from, but in that day, there was no bottles like it, and it was such a differentiating factor. So that grabs your attention and breaks the pattern recognition in the market. But then everything else is about the brand, like it's how distinct it is. So it's about brand positioning is about standing apart from the competitors by creating distinct, better, or alternative associations. So this is 5% of decision making. This is like the reptilian brain. Oh, it's different. Then distinctiveness is what gets them over the line. This is unique. This is your brand assets. This is all of your touch points of your brand. So brand identity assets across digital, print, and every customer touch point create a unique, recognizable presence that drives differentiation, reinforces relevance, and influences customer choice. Who are we? What is our identity? Why should they choose us? What are our values, purpose, mission? Your brand identity and unique brand promise. What are you promising your customers that no one else is doing? Who are we? What do we believe in? What are our most important values? What do we like? Define your market, create exceptional value for these customers, and lead them to think of your brand as their only viable choice. This is how we win. This is how we build a disruptive brand. So here are the 5 core brand ideas. A brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or company. Branding is the process of connecting good strategy with good creativity. The foundation of a brand is trust. This is your currency in business. Your brand is trust. Customers trust your brand when their expectations consistently meet or beat their expectations. The value of your brand grows in direct proportion to how quickly and easily customers can say yes to what you're offering. And finally, an only choice brand is any product, service, or company for which people believe there is no substitute. Thanks for joining me on this presentation today. I hope you got something out of it. If you want to talk branding or how you can create a disruptive brand, feel free to contact me or book a meeting I would love to see how we can help you create a really disruptive brand that can help you grow your business, increase revenue, and become sustainable for the long term. Thanks for watching. See you later.